my brush lads, lasses, and everyone in between. My name is Tyler, and today we're going to be looking at our first deck tech for Oathbreaker. This deck is my own personal love letter to when I started playing the game back in high school, so while some of the picks may not be the most efficient, they have sentimental value to me. Before we get started, remember that if you like what we do on here and Partners With, be sure to give us a sub and leave us a comment. Who's your favorite Oathbreaker? Now, before we get started for real, what is Oathbreaker? Oathbreaker is a commander-adjacent singleton 60-card format where everyone starts at 20 life, and has a planeswalker as their commander, or Oathbreaker. In addition to that, you have a signature spell, either an instant or sorcery, that sits in the command zone with your Oathbreaker, and can only be cast when your Oathbreaker is on the field. Your signature spell is also subject to its own commander tax, and after it resolves, it always returns to the command zone rather than going anywhere else. For this deck, we're running Nixilis the Hate Twisted, a 5 loyalty walker from War of the Spark who casts for 3 black. Ob comes with the static ability that whenever an opponent draws a card, they take 1 damage. For a -2 ability, Ob can also destroy a creature and cause that creature's controller to draw 2 cards. The deck's theme is Death by 1,000 Cuts, meaning we just want to slowly chip away at our opponent's life totals while keeping ourselves safe. Mono Black Demons was the first deck I ever played when I first started, so I crammed this deck full of my favorite demons as well as my favorite removal spells and sources of incremental chip damage. Let's take a look. Alongside Ob in our command zone is our signature spell, Doomblade. For 1 and a black, Doomblade destroys any non-black creature at instant speed. It was one of the first removal spells I ever actually played with, and has always had a soft place in my heart. And while it can't protect us against black creatures, we have plenty of other ways in the deck to handle those. Since it's such a major part of the deck, let's start by looking at our repeating sources of chip damage. Our most reliable sources are the enchantments Ill-Gotten Inheritance, Dogged Pursuit, and Underworld Dreams, which will generally go off by themselves fairly easily. If people try to attack us, Blood Reckoning and Revenge of Ravens will deal damage to those players for each attacking creature. They also trigger off attacking our planeswalkers, so Ob has some protection as well. We also have Stab Wound to weaken a creature and deal 2 damage to that creature's controller on their upkeep. While going off less reliably than our enchantments, we also run Indulgent Tormentor, who either gives us a card, makes an opponent sacrifice a creature, or makes an opponent pay 3 life on each of our upkeeps. Soul Cage Fiend, who makes everyone lose 3 life when it dies, and Pestilence Demon, who comes with the ability to hit every player and every creature for 1 for a single black. Now, I said at the top of the show that Mono Black Demons was the first deck I ever played, so I included some of my favorites, both new and old, in this deck. Blade of the Oni is a cheap 3/1 menace body for 1 and a black, who can attach to another creature to make them a base 5/5 demon with menace. Kuro Pitlord has a steep cost of 4 black mana on every upkeep of ours, but can turn our life into creature removal. Reaper from the Abyss blows up non-demon creatures on every end step, not just ours, if something died that turn, and believe me, plenty of things are going to die. Halo Hunter blows up an angel when it enters the battlefield and follows that up with a 6/3 body that can only be blocked by black creatures or artifact creatures. Overseer of the Damned destroys any creature on ETB, as well as turns out a 2/2 zombie for us whenever a non-token creature an opponent controls dies. Mindrack Demon is a double-edged sword, as it requires Delirium to not hit us for 4 every turn, so we need to have at least 4 card types among cards in our graveyard. Luckily, it helps set that up by milling us for 4 when it ETBs. Baleful Amet is a cheap 4/3 life-linking body that puts a -1/-1 counter on a creature we control when it enters the battlefield. Harvester of Souls turns all non-token creature deaths into card draw for us, and our final demon, Nightmare Shepherd, can exile our dying non-token creatures to give us 1/1 token copies of them so we can still use their abilities. Our final creature, Vampire Hexmage, may not be a demon, but being able to sacrifice itself to remove all counters from a permanent is great in a format where planeswalkers are running around. Speaking of killing planeswalkers, let's look at the biggest chunk of our deck, our removal suite. Our opponents are going to want to remove us from the board before we drain out their life totals, so it's important that we keep them in line by always being able to strike first. For creatures and planeswalkers, we have Finishing Blow, Hero's Downfall, and Eat to Extinction. Murder, Poison the Cup, Infernal Grasp, and Feed the Swarm all serve as methods of creature removal with no conditions on the creature. Feed the Swarm can even hit enchantments, though it pays for this by only being sorcery speed. For more specific situations, Human Frailty can destroy a human for a single black, Cast Down can destroy a non-legendary creature, Eliminate can hit any creature at 3 mana value or less, Heartless Act can either kill a creature with no counters on it, or remove up to 3 counters from a creature, and Power Word Kill can kill anything so long as that thing isn't an angel, demon, devil, or dragon. With so much removal, we'll want to make sure that our hands are always full of gas. Blood Pact and Silent Blood both draw us 2 cards, each for the small price of 2 life, as does Funeral Rites, though Funeral Rites also mills us for 2. Greed is a regular source of card draw, letting us draw a card for a black and 2 life whenever we can spare it, and Promise of Power can either draw us 5 cards for 5 life, make a flying demon with power and toughness equal to the amount of cards in our hand when the demon entered the battlefield, or both if we pay an extra 4 generic mana. Our final 3 non-land cards are 2 artifacts and a card that I have been saving for last. Since most methods of fast mana rocks are banned in Oathbreaker, we have Charcoal Diamond as a 2 mana rock to tap for a black, though it does come in tapped. Our other artifact is Demon's Horn, which gains us life whenever a player casts a black spell, not just us. Finally, we have an alternate win con in Liliana's Contract. For 5 mana, it draws us 4 cards and loses us 4 life when it enters the battlefield. But on our upkeep, if we have 4 or more demons with different names, we win on the spot. Our mana base is fairly simple. For utility lands, we have Barren Moor, which we can cycle away if we don't need it, Piranha Marsh for 1 small source of chip damage, Rogue's Passage to help our big demons get through, Myriad Landscape for ramp since black is atrocious at it, and Blighted Fen to force our opponents to sacrifice a creature. Top things off with 14 swamps, and we are ready to go. Thank you all for joining me today on our first Oathbreaker deck tech. We're hoping to add more Oathbreaker content to our channel in the future, so tell us which planeswalkers you'd like to see. Be sure to leave us a comment, shoot us a sub, and ring that little bell so that you never miss an upload. I've been Tyler, and I will see you next time. Peace!